What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the top side of the map in the blue color, playing as Set. His name is Kimo. His opponent today in the red color, playing as Zeus. His name is More 2K. 2K for more. Zeus versus Set, an interesting matchup. We'll see how things are going to go. We do actually already see More moving forward onto his secondary hunt over here. He spotted it with his scout. Going to be making a move over there and dropping a granary on this one. We'll see how things are going to go here. Kimo, on the other hand, drops his vision in the middle of the map. He does spot his gazelle over here, but he will be moving over onto his gazelle on this location on up there. The early game's quite difficult here for Set if you don't have starting hunt, because I think first and foremost, I don't think you should be putting a granary down. As Set here, I don't think you should put a granary down in your main base. It wastes a lot of time. Instead, it's better to just have the villagers jump onto the chickens and send the pharaoh one way, send the hyena the other way, and vision one way. And that way you will 100% find where your hunt is within the first 30 seconds of the game, and you can send your villagers over there to make that happen. I think that's the best way to go. If you go for this route, you're going to have to send a whole bunch of villagers over onto this food over here. And look, there's really not that much food on this location either. I mean, there's some baboons in the corner. There's some gazelle over there, but it's just not that much in the end when all is said and done. We did see a bolt there onto the priest there from More. Gets a little bit lucky finding where that priest is. Super lucky, actually. Look at the path he went. He's gone from this location all the way here, spots the priest, bolts the priest, and then he goes straight through the base, spots the gold mine, and he has spotted the villagers over here immediately as well. As Kimo now going to be moving forward, possibly going to be grabbing that System of the Bast. It's not that good of a relic, but you kind of don't want to give it to your opponent either, as he's going to pick it up for himself. It's worth roughly 20 food a minute in terms of the resources saved, or 40 food a minute if you go 2 town centers, which kind of ends up being a decent deal. So we'll see how it's all going to wind up here, as now Moore's moving into the bottom sides of the map here. This is a very, very ballsy villager move. He finds the gazelle. Now, yeah, he didn't actually know that those were there. So all he knew is that there's gazelle here. He knows that there's one pack of gazelle on his side. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could be wrong, but More may have seen this food here and gone, okay, this isn't the same amount as food as I've got on my hunt, so I know that there's another spawn of gazelle somewhere on the map. I know that it's not in the middle of my map because I've scouted it, though it could have been here. Highly doubt it's here, but he gets incredibly lucky moving out into this corner of the map there, finding his gazelle. And he's going to be scouting into the corner of the map, finding some lion here. Still trying to find if there's there sometimes is some random rhino or something like that. Thank you for the raid, Don Hardy. How you going, my friend? Hope your games went well, and all is well with you, my friend. Can't wait to see you ripping it up in Retold. All right, Kimo on the other hand gets his temple up. He's going for a very late advance time, obviously with the opener that he's been that he's had to deal with here in this game. He's going to have a tough time. He does hit the temple up. He's got the relic, pops that one in. 10% cheaper villagers there. As Kimo's now going to move over and start empowering his gold mine and starting to think about getting a second town center as soon as he sees that second age. We already see Hermes coming through for More here in this game. So Hermes super early for More. Well, not super early, but actually quite late. But the idea of Hermes over Athena here in this matchup is actually one that you kind of go for ceasefire over restoration in this matchup to counter one of the god powers of Set better than what restoration would do. But the question is, do you really need that? And some of the time the answer is actually no. But we'll see how it's going to go, as the Jason going to be moving in onto this location here. Now the villager's going to pull back.
You need to.
As now the villagers running around the map doing all the good stuff. We are seeing the granary on this location get a little bit of shankiness over here. Tile coming through. Just about to come through for Kimo. I imagine he goes for this town center, but he's pulled off. He's got a little bit of gazelle over here. He's got one monument. He's got a whole bunch of goats here. Maybe Kimo has to stay one town center here. He does find himself this rhino. I don't think Moore's found his rhino yet. Yeah, he hasn't. No? Did he eat the rhino? There it is. He hasn't found his rhino yet. It's hidden right in that one black space there. As we see the town center coming up. He does see the rhino over here now, so Moore might be able to use that to realize that he can that he has a rhino somewhere. As we do see the animals coming onto this location, as Jason's going to be taking out those gazelle in one shot. That's a lot of lost food there for Kimo. You don't want to be losing those at all, but the Jason will get taken down without any use of the shifting sands here. As now the Odysseus moving in onto this location, trying to bait that shifting sands in. You can just retreat away. We've seen Squash do this. You can just retreat away here, take a little bit of damage on all of your units. It's not really that big of a deal, but Kimo uses his shifting sands on this location, and that Odysseus snipes a villager as well as gets out of fear. Moore is all over the map here with his units at the start of the game, getting so much damage done onto Kimo's economy here early game, but Kimo gets his second town center. Moore, on the other hand, still one town center for himself, but he's going to be dropping his second town center now at 6 minutes 37 seconds into the game. Going to be dropping that town center now and starting the boom war, as it were. Moore's actually got the resources now as well to drop a third town center straight away. So he's probably going to be going for that. If you take a look at the map, you can see that it's 3 town centers and they're all back town centers, which means, well, there's just, it's going to be an incredibly defensive map. If you think about how this translates into, say, maybe like a version of Retold where you can place your town centers wherever you want, you would probably see a lot more of the time people placing their 2 town centers really close to their base or in the back parts of their base if they want to boom, because it gives a bigger like separation between their home base and their opponent's home base. So it's easier to defend. So this game might be indicative of what Age of Mythology would look like if we had no settlements. So just for those people out there who do have a problem with the settlement system here, which, I mean, it's not a perfect system. There are definitely different ways to make it work. But we'll see exactly how things are going to go here, as Kimo is also going to be going for his own immediate third town center in this game. Now, I want to go here and say there are builds for set. If you've got a really nice map, and I mean like 3 giraffe Blue Lagoon, for example, as set, there are builds where you can actually get 3 town centers up at 6 minutes. And it's incredibly fast. You can get 3 town centers up 6 minutes into the game and have an incredibly strong time here. But the amount of damage and pressure that Moore is putting onto Kimo here in this game is really, really hurting him as he pulls his villagers back. Kimo also still only on 1 monument, so while he can make a handful of gazelle out of his pharaoh here, it's still going to be a bit of a pain. As look at how active right now Moore is being with these heroes. This is exactly the type of Greek you need to play against Egyptian, as now Kimo is going into slingers and spearmen, but a couple of slingers coming out here to try and defend this area. That pharaoh does a lot of damage over here. The spearmen get a fall. The villager coming in trying to take out the Jason as fast as he can. Thank you for the raiding party, Nyan Racing Cat. Hope your stream went well, my friend. Welcome everyone from the Age of Empires 4 universe. Hope you're all doing fantastic and having some fantastic days. Farms coming up now for Kimo in his main base as he's having a difficult time. Did he get Shadoof here? He does have Shadoof. Shadoof, for those of you coming over from the Age of Empires 4 world, is a technology which reduces the farm's cost by half. So it can be a lot easier to get your economy going where that's concerned. as more trying to drop as much economy as he can. Farms coming up. It's a very, very low hunt map here on Savannah. We saw 2 gazelle here, 2 gazelle spawns and a rhino. The rhino popping up over here is Moore's probably realize, well, maybe not going to realize that he's going to actually eat that at some point, probably forgetting that it exists. But it's a very, very slow one here to start off. Both players going to be booming incredibly hard into a huge boom, a huge fight maybe in the middle of the game. We'll see how that's going to go. As now Kimo continuing to make himself spearmen and slingers, getting his farms down. To support all of the spearmen production here and the town center production, you need so many villagers on food. As we see Centaur Polemark coming through for more. The upgrade for the Centaur, increasing their speed against an Egyptian, is not something you see very often here. It's going to force more... it's going to force Kimo to build some priests out to try and deal with this. But in all honesty, the Centaur actually move faster than priests do. So if you micro it well, you can actually dodge a lot of those priest projectiles in those fights. And we'll see if Moore's going to be going that way in this game. He's got himself 4 villagers on favor, making Centaurs. And deciding to go down the Centaur route, which I actually would prefer Centaur over Toxotes in this matchup, because I think that Toxotes, they're just too slow. They don't deal with the heroic age Migdol units of Egyptian very well. Those speedy cavalry, chariot archers. Having Centaur out really is a great idea to kind of shut down any sort of raids the Egyptian player wants to do in the heroic age. So we do see the look at that. The Pharaoh misses. The Pharaoh's blind. The Centaur here, he's dodging, he's dancing, he's dipping, he's ducking, he's diving, and he's out. And same with the other one, going to be moving around the map, looking for some picks here in this game. As Kimo motoring ahead, still pumping out units, getting his farms down, armory coming through as well. Plenty of favor in the bank to get some of those unique tar upgrades for his army. If you grab from the armory, you can see you get electron bullets or what's this one? Leather frame shield. A little bit of bonus damage for the slingers. A little bit of bonus pierce armor for those spearmen there. As that micro there from Moore. He's actually so good at keeping his units nice and safe in this game. As the priest's going to be getting pulled back over here. Slingers pulling back as well. As the villagers getting taken down, we are going to be seeing more retreating back away from this location ever so slightly. 95 population. As Kimo here, while he is defending his base nicely, he's being strangled ever so slightly. He's walling up his entire side of the map here. Boom, 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 boom. But he's kind of strangled in a way. Moore gets the entirety of the map control when it comes down to it. As Moore coming in now, he's got his units out. I love this army composition against the Egyptian classical army. The slingers do nothing against this army. Absolutely nothing. They don't beat hoplites. They don't beat Hippocon, they don't beat Centaur, and the army from Moore is just countering everything that these units are going to be doing. The only thing he's got to be careful about is making sure he stays away from those priests and snipes those down as best as he can to allow his Centaur to get value in this fight. As Kimo here tries a fight, but he is getting pushed back into his base very, very nicely here by Moore. As we'll see what Kimo is going to be going for. I imagine next age, getting straight into funeral rites is going to be an incredibly important aspect of this gameplay here for Kimo to deal with those Centaurs as best as he possibly can. As the wall here going to be getting torn down by Moore, breaking this one down, coming through, going to take out those villages as best as he possibly can here. If we move over onto Moore's perspective here, he's getting all of his farms down. Lots of villagers on wood right now, a little bit floating in the wood department here. Could get a ton more farms and produce a lot more of those human units to kind of make the priests a little bit less worthwhile. And now look at this thing that they're making these hoplite Hippocon has forced out is these axemen. And what you can actually do now is, now that there's a handful of axemen here, you just slowly try and pick off the spearmen here and cut hoplites completely and go pure Hippocon to just counter literally everything your opponent's got going for him at this point. As we do see the priest here getting a couple of shots off onto those Centaur. Good micro there from Moore, as he needs to pull back ever so slightly as the priest getting pulled in. Now the human units of Moore going to be able to take down those priests. The Pharaoh goes down there nicely, hasn't lost a single centaur here, as soon as the priests start firing, more micros those centaur. Well, he's lost one here, but he micros them nearly immediately there to force those priests to do 0 DPS in these fights. But it looks like in the end here, Kimo going to be able to somewhat hold in this fight. We will be seeing Kimo retreating as Moore's trying to pump out as many units. He's got lots of resources in the bank at the moment. His economy is absolutely gigantic. Kimo at this point going to be throwing down his market in the top corner of the map here. Probably would be best to throw it down over here so you don't have the big fat savanna tree here blocking, but nonetheless gets that thrown down immediately. Going to be looking for a relatively early Mythic Age behind all of this, you'd have to assume. Do we see any upgrades coming through from this temple? Not just yet. There are a couple of incredibly good upgrades you can get in this matchup, which include, from Nephthys that is, which is Spirit of Mart and Funeral Rites. So Funeral Rites is the technology which gives a huge boost to your priest's damage against myth units, and Spirit of Mart makes your priests go from 100 gold down to 17 gold, which is incredibly strong, as we see more going to be thrown down. His armory over here, economic upgrades looking incredibly strong, good, solid here. Same too for Kimo, already in irrigation at this point, as Kimo going to be moving across the map here, looking for some pressure to be done. At this point, honestly, not a whole lot you can do with this army that Kimo's constructed. It's mostly for defense here. He needs to kind of take control of the map with this army. Move the army forward, send villagers forward, throw walls down, take different portions of the map. On a map like Savannah, if you take a quick look at it, you can see that the forests are kind of everywhere, and you can use those as a natural defensive terrain to wall between to really prevent your opponent's movement around the map and slow the game down for yourself, whilst simultaneously being able to speed the game up for yourself in a weird way as well. As a couple of units, straggler units coming through here for Kimo, going to get sniped down, and Kimo going to be a bit sad about that, but no real problems. Is more now on his way to the heroic age, going through Apollo, going to be getting access to the underworld here in this game. Underworld, incredibly strong, going to be able to hit some sort of a timing on that back town center here where Kimo's army's out of position. And if you do remember, Kimo utilized his Shifting Sands God power early in the game to get his town center up without too much hassle. Whereas normally in this matchup, Shifting Sands should be used either offensively to put pressure onto your opponent super early, or defensively to counter the underworld incredibly quickly, as we do see a beautiful side build coming up here for Kimo. Moore's not really aware of this, as he's getting nice and close to this back town center over here. Going to put some pressure onto that, as we do see Ancestors immediately getting dropped over here, and the Pharaoh producing some of those beautiful, beautiful crocodiles of Set here. How many monuments does Kimo has? He's got 2 monuments at this point. Crocodiles of Set are actually really, really strong, as we do see the army coming through onto the back of Moore, forcing Ceasefire out, not wanting to lose too many units here. But now Kimo is trading Ancestors for Ceasefire. But what does this really mean? This, in a nutshell, means that now Kimo has got a timing with Tornado, which is coming through incredibly fast here. Hephaestus is also coming through for Moore, however, and Moore is getting fortified town centers and already has Masons through. Masons given that bonus onto the town center to boost the building's HP up as much as it possibly can. And Tornado by itself will leave a town center with fortified town centers and Masons on about 500-ish HP. If nothing else attacks it, it'll be able to survive. So you need to put a little bit more oomph behind the Tornado to take it down. So we do see these units coming through here for Kimo. He does throw the barracks up. He doesn't have the favor straight away to produce like Horus Spearmen or Horus Axemen. Getting those Horus upgrades to boost your Spearmen is incredibly important here, as we see a whole bunch of military buildings getting dropped down onto this location. And the side build of Kimo has been spotted, and Moore deciding that it's time to actually attack this one, clean this up. He's going to be able to take the siege works down. I don't think that... Oh, we do have a siege works over here, so a catapult coming out for Kimo would be incredibly important here, as the villagers going to be getting cleaned up over here, as now Kimo trying to push in onto this location. Look at all the resources in the bank for Kimo. I don't know exactly what he's going to be saving up for here, as we do see the Centaur going to be sniping some villagers wandering through the middle of the map. Kimo, or more still, having a lot of villagers on favor. He's got 100 favor in the bank. That's going to be an immediate entrance into... we did see the Underworld get taken down there. A bit of a Tornado getting thrown down onto the Underworld to trade Tornado for Underworld, but this is going to be an immediate Colossus production here. 4 more, as well as an immediate Forge of Olympus to make those armory upgrades really nice and cheap. You can see it coming through. It's a 75% reduction of your armory cost. A super bonkers technology to grab for the Greek players, for the Zeus players in this world. So we'll see how it's all going to shape up here. As if the general consensus is if Greek can get Hephaestus against Set and be in a good position, the Colossus are just that little bit too difficult to deal with. If we take a look at the priest over here, we still don't have ourselves funeral rites. And funeral rites is a big boost to the priest, but the Colossus have got 80% pierce armor. 80% is basically, if you take a look at it, 80% here means it's 80% vulnerability to the damage which a priest does. So if you say the priest does like 50 damage, it doesn't do 50 damage, it does 20, well, whatever it will be, like 20 damage or 10 damage to the Colossus at a moment here. But the Avenger, on the other hand, is actually a really, really good counter to the Colossus as it gets sniped down here straight away, because it gets bonus damage against myth units, and the Colossus has only got itself 50% hack armor. So it's a decent idea where that's concerned. As the units now surrounding Moore's town center over here, as Moore's trying to hang on, we see his army kind of moving all across the map here. 160 of 160 population. He's got a lot of idle military units getting a little bit flustered with the situation that he's finding himself in. As all of the units drop out of the military buildings at once, he's got so many medium Hephaestus here coming through to counter all the units that Kimo's made at this point. Kimo needs to make a whole bunch of like chariot archers like immediately here, but he's got no Migdols up at this point. Trying to throw this Migdol up. Plenty of wood in the bank here for Kimo. He's starting his trade route as best as he possibly can. As we'll see that those chariot archers coming through very, very soon. We've already got heavy Hephaestus in. Some Rhinoceros of Set coming through for Kimo. Does he have Feral? Yes, he does. 207 HP, packing a punch with 15 damage per second. Not really too many heroes here to deal with this either, so it's a really nice way to bolster the army here for Kimo, but it does slow down any sort of technologies that he might want to be getting as a couple more siege works. Barracks coming down onto this position to try and hold this one here, as Moore needs to kind of go into a little bit of a different position, going less into the Hephaestus and trading more and maybe into Myrmidon for this moment, as now he's dealt with all of those spearmen that have been built. As you do see these buildings getting cleaned up, units coming out over here. We see Myrmidon trying to clean up these spearmen on this location. Still no real upgrades coming through for Kimo in terms of those Horus ones, but he does have the Qatar upgrade, so he does want to be going in spearmen through this late game. We'll see how it's going to work out for him, as we've now got the Bellerophon coming in, and that's going to be a complete shutdown of any sort of Rhinoceros kind of shenanigans coming through for Kimo, as he's got 7 chariot archers now, 8 chariot archers in this Migdol stronghold, but they've got no upgrades here. They're no upgrades against heavy Myrmidon and heavy Toxotes, so they're not going to be the best here in this game as they're starting to pop out. We see some units coming through for Kimo, 151 to 160 population at this moment over here. Still pumping out the trade route. Has he got himself coinage? Yes, he does. Economic upgrades here. He's got every single one of those economic upgrades as well. Same too for Moore, I'm sure. Moore just missing out on carpenters, but not that big of a deal when all is said and done, as the Migdol stronghold here going to get torn down fairly shortly. Archery ranges going down over here, as well as Kimo is desperately trying to hold on to this situation, but it is going down ever so quickly. A handful of villagers remaining here trying to repair this one back up, but just a Myrmidon or two plus the Bellerophon going to be able to finish this one off. Migdol stronghold falls. Position has been defended here for Moore, as he is going to be able to motor forward in this game, trying to push forward here. We'll see if his armory upgrades are starting to come through. Yes, he's on full bronze here, so one more tier until he's fully upgraded in terms of his armory. Whereas if we take a look at Kimo, very, very little armory upgrades. He's got a lot of catching up to do. He has to spend his resources incredibly well and just defend for a little bit here as best as he possibly can here. We'll see how it's going to go. Kimo at this moment, he's got the classic Kimo walls getting thrown up everywhere because he knows he needs to buy himself some time over here. Also protecting his trade route, but there is a big opening here, and there is a big opening here that Moore can hit a huge timing art going forward. Not only that, Moore also, as we are seeing a little bit of raids coming through for Kimo, love that from Kimo, but Moore also still has access to these Colossus, which he is training. Don't think he's got any upgrades on them just yet, but look at that army. Devastatingly terrifying here for Moore, as Kimo pulling back into the main base over here, and we'll see how Kimo is going to go about defending this one. As if we take a look, he's sitting at 160 or 160 population. He does have access to the mercenary, a much hated unit for the Egyptians. We'll see how it's going to go. We also see a dock coming up over here just to make sure, but I'm not sure exactly what he's going to be doing with this one. I think maybe if he really wants to see anything happening, a lighthouse, funnily enough, could go up here. And he does scout this out, and Moore is going for a dock movement here with his villagers trying to sneak behind these walls. Absolutely love that by Moore, but it's kind of already spotted. We already see the siege works. We've already got everything else. He kind of needs to also throw up some archer ships behind it or something if he wants to hold on over on that location there, as the fortress coming down on this location here to try and hold on. We've got these siege towers. Not really going to be the best of units to build against Greek kickers. They're going to get taken down quite fast, but when your opponent's got Bellerophon out, Bellerophon effectively with that jump special every 20 seconds it comes through. I think it's 20, might be 15, but I'm going to go lock in 20 seconds. It's definitely not 5 seconds, but every 20 seconds-ish, jump in and picks up a catapult, so it makes it nearly impossible to train catapults against Zeus unless you've got a ton of ballista towers out to defend them. More now going up through 6, so the Titan's going to be getting himself out. He's Titan incredibly early here. Let's see how Kimo's economy is going. He's got himself the favor. He's got 4 monuments here, but he doesn't have the gold just yet, as the villagers trying to pop through onto this location. We do see them getting taken down. The Pharaoh's already over here. Migdol Stronghold getting set up. Is this open over here? It looks like it is actually open on this location here, as the Migdol comes up there to defend that spot, as we are still seeing more slow pushing in here. Kimo slowly falling further and further behind. Kimo actually having to cut every single one of his productions here. He's not doing it, but he kind of needs to in order to get himself the resources to get his own Titan out. Now, there is a way to play this from the Egyptian side of things, which is you go into Mass Priest, you get yourself the Priest upgrade, Funeral Rites, Mass Priest, and when the Titan comes, you building block the Titan and you utilize the Priests to take the Titan down. And what you can do is if the Titan gets onto this town center, you can trap the Titan here with buildings placement around it and use the Priest to take it down. And it is a way to trade your Titan for your enemies. Trade his Titan for not much and then get your own Titan to be used to take out your opponent. Now we do see the Titan Gate coming in. We've got the Toxotes coming in for a cheeky little raid here. Townsend is already up here for Kimo, so he should be completely fine to defend this one. He's getting himself the Titan Age now. He can start making some units here. But Moore throws his Titan Gate down. Going to start building that one up as fast as he can. Generally speaking, the Titan needs around about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes to get across the map. So you can generally get it up so long as you start researching Titan Age before your opponent starts building the Titan Age, if that makes sense. Not building, researching the Titan Age. So if you're 1 minute behind your opponent, you're completely fine as that were. Because that's exactly what's going to happen for Kimo. But Kimo is going to run into this problem where he's still not upgraded in his armory. So he's still not trading well with his units here in this game. As we see the Toxotes still hanging around here being a little bit annoying. But Kimo having to place this Titan Gate here is going to significantly hurt his economy. And he needs to put somewhere in the vicinity of 20 villages on that Titan Gate there. Now, he does still have the trade, so he's going to have economy, so he can buy some stuff here for gold in the market. It is relatively decent. But Moore can use this opportunity to just bash down these buildings. And one thing that I think it's a little bit underutilized, but it's this thing when you've got an advantage with when your opponent's throwing their Titan Gate down and you build your Titan out, what happens is that advantage you did have kind of goes down because you're spending 20 population on a Titan moving across the map. So one thing that you could actually consider doing is leave the Titan Gate on something like 99%, continue pressuring, and then when your opponent's Titan gets up, then you finish your Titan, you send it across the map, you trade Titan for Titan and live the dream where that's concerned. As an idea, but most of the time we just see the Titan getting finished. As now The Heliopolite trying to break through on this location. We see the Siege Towers both getting sniped down there as the Fortress doesn't quite go down, as Moore's going to continue to be able to put pressure on. Now we're seeing Moore moving into an incredibly terrifyingly strong composition, which is Myrmidon, Hoplite / Hippaspis, depending on what your opponent's making, Heliopolite. You don't need Toxotes anymore in this matchup. If your opponent goes mass champion chariots, what you do is, a little known fact here is that this Heliopoli has 5 garrison spaces in it. So what you can do is, if your opponent is mass chariot, you just put your Myrmidon inside of the Heliopoli and you just roll in to your opponent here, and then you can ungarrison them while they're on the line of those champion chariots, and they actually trade better than chariots. Not only that, you could just leave them in the Heliopoli to get bonus damage done and take down your opponent's Migdols with them, or whatever you need. Is now the Civil Colossus going to be coming in onto this location here, and we see the Titan now coming through for more, as Kimo here, he's still kind of in a weird position where he would like to leave his base, put some pressure on. What he can do is get a transport ship out here and fill up this location with buildings, because if you take a look at Moore's perspective here, he does have the upgrades to let him know a little bit of stuff's happening, but there's a whole bunch of black fog here that could be utilized from the side of Kimo in this game. As the Colossus coming through onto this position, going to start taking this town center down. Look at this gold Colossus, 1500 HP, 80% pierce armor. The priests, do they have funeral rites here? Yes, they do. He also has the cheaper priests to boot, so he's going to be able to clean this Colossus up, but it's still going to be a very, very difficult time ahead, as now the Titans making their way. Look at that, the Titans now up 1 minute behind for Kimo, when he started producing that, researching that Secret of the Titans, and it's up before that Titan is even halfway across the map. So Moore's going to attempt to take this town center down, because if he can kill the town center, he stops the trade route, or stops the efficiency of that trade route quite a bit, and he can find himself a significant advantage moving forward here, as Kimo is going to be moving across the map. We'll see what his actual decision is going to be here moving forward, as Kimo is just going to hold that Titan back for as long as he can. This, honestly, this might actually be, from the set side of things, up there with a Wonder angle. Now, we don't really like Wonders over here in Age of Mythology. It seems a little bit of a cop-out, but when it comes down to it, if this is the only real way you can win a game, maybe it is the way. But what's happening here with Moore delaying with this Titan is he's giving Kimo all the time he needs to get these armory upgrades here. If you take a look here, he's still short himself iron mail, iron weapons. He's got the resources for it now, but he still hasn't produced it. And there's the Wonder coming down for Kimo, as Kimo realizes, like, if you're not going to fight me, no worries. I'm going to grab that Wonder here as fast as he possibly can. And we'll see if Kimo is going to be able to hold on in this situation. You've got to get that Pharaoh onto that Wonder, because that's what gives you the advantage here. If we move on to Moore's perspective over here, Moore too can throw up a Wonder if he so chooses. He's got the resources for it, but maybe he realizes there's just no chance that he can actually beat an empowering Egyptian Wonder, which is actually how it works, as Moore still really biding his time here. Just trade the touch. Just click on it. Just click on it. You don't have to do all much. Oh, Kimo not paying attention. This is huge. 4 more. He gets 1 free kick. One free hit there, so he gets just that slight advantage in the Titan fight. And once the Titan fight starts, to retreat means you lose like another 2 big whacks worth of HP. So effectively, once it starts, you have to stay in there, as the priests helping out the Heliopoli do so much more damage to the opposing Titan than anything else here in these positions. But we do have those Chariot Archers helping out as well. It's going to be a close one to boot when this is all done. We do see that Moore decides to pull back there for just a little bit, but a good little micro there from Kimo, as he is trying his best to take down Moore's Titan here. 1000 HP apiece here. Looks like Moore's Titan's going to be just that little bit healthier than Kimo's here moving forward. 400 HP in the bank, or remaining here, probably is a more accurate way of speaking. But the Titan 100% going to be falling before getting too much more value here as he tries to park that one in onto the town center, but it's going to be going down. We're now starting to see some champion Hippocon swinging into this location here. Honestly, it probably would be better for Moore to just delete the Titan there and get his Heliopoli out to push in, start putting towers down. We see Moore spreading out across the map here. He's got this dock up over here again. With that transport ship. It is taking up 2 population space to have this, but utilizing it for some sort of a Colossus play, super smart. I love this. He's going to make like 4 Colossus and try and go after this town center over here while this is all going on. And all the units here for Moore are just doing so much here. So what, effectively the only way to counter this from the Kimo side of things is to have temples set up everywhere. And I mean like multiple temples to produce your priests immediately. And then when you see the Colossus come in, you've got to like delete units and then spam priests out over there to kind of defend, repair that location back up. So that Wonder coming through, still, I still not 100% sure why the Wonder hasn't been empowered from Kimo, because it really makes that Wonder shoot up much faster here. As more pushing through, we see those Heliopoli getting cleaned up nicely here from the side of Kimo. But Kimo is kind of being forced into making Axemen to deal with those Myrmidons, which doesn't really work because Axemen don't do much damage to Heliopoli at all. They do like 8.5 damage a second to Heliopoli here. As the Heliopoli going to pull back, and Moore still can't make his way in, but remember where that population is going. Remember, he's getting those Colossus out. He's got 3 Colossus out over here already. He can go for 4 Colossus, 5 Colossus here. Doesn't really matter. He's going to go with the 3. Pop in here, go straight for that town center. It's 5 population worth of Colossus when it comes down to it, and he's just going to go in and try and take that location down. Meanwhile, Kimo not able to make any ground on this location, spamming towers up all over the place. Is Kimo not going to be ready for this? Is there room to unload? Yes, there is. The wall's not finished over here to block the Colossus from coming in here. As the Wonder does come up, walls coming around that Wonder there to help out, as now the Colossus coming in. Town center under attack. Units on this town center hitting both town centers here, as Moore is completely abusing his Colossus advantage in this game. We have 4 priests trying to clean these guys up. Town center here falling. Town center over here falling incredibly quickly as well. At this location, as Kimo's not even repairing this one back up. Kimo with not that many resources remaining in this game, going to be dropping down to what looks to be 1 town center very soon. He still has the Wonder, but he's got nothing really here to defend against the siege that's coming through for Moore. Incredible move here from Moore, as he's going to be bringing in even more Colossus. As he's got 2 coming through here, pops them out over here, going to break down the guard tower. He can move over and take out the trade route as well. But I mean, the trade route is already picked off here in essence, because this town center is down. And now, how can Kimo deal with this? He's got himself 1,400 gold in the bank at this point. He needs that trade route going, but the Colossus are just going to be moving through the main base of Kimo here, as Kimo is just in such a difficult position to move along in this spot, as the Colossus over here going to be falling. Town center almost getting back up, but the Colossus gets in time. Will it be enough to stop this one? It looks like it will as well, with the help of the Heliopoli coming through to get some big damage done. Town center continues to stay down. Wander's got 8 minutes and 30 seconds remaining on it here, ladies and gentlemen. So Moore still has plenty of time in this game, as the Colossus now moving into the main base here, as the villagers trying to rebuild this town center over there. But the houses going down, priests trying to get built out, but Kimo 129 to 130 population. Houses getting cleaned up, prevents the priests from coming out. Effectively, Kimo's only army now is going to be mercenary here in this game, and they just don't cut it in this position here. I think deleting those Axemen and just having priests here has to be the only real way to hold on from Kimo's perspective here, but Kimo going to be losing this town center very shortly. This town center gets denied by 1 Colossus, as this one going to be going down. Look at this. Kimo's 129, 130 population. Houses going to be falling. More temples coming out. We see the villagers coming back over here, potentially with the Pharaoh Empower rate here. He might be able to hold on to this one here for a while. At this point, we'll see how he's going to go. As the Colossus is going to be breaking this one down, we do see that the gold, oh, not the gold being run out, the villagers just decide to stop repairing there as the town center falls. Kimo down to one town center as this town center falling as well as the Hippocon come through. We do see some Avengers coming out, potentially able to take down the fortified town centers, but Moore is on 3 separate town centers with his Colossus here, taking down houses, taking down temple, taking everything out in this game, preventing Kimo from doing anything. Kimo's at 130 of 90 population as the pressure is just so absurdly big here in this game. This Colossus like still sitting alive. You're picking off villagers to boot here as the temple about to fall. The Avenger is doing some work over here. We now see Baluster Towers up for Kimo, but that's not going to help out at all here. And we'll see how it's all going to go. The temple falls down. Kimo 6 minutes, 53 seconds remaining on that wonder, but with no town centers, no answer to Colossus, there is no hope here for what it seems for Kimo as he's trying to deal with these Colossus as best as he possibly can, but he's just not really able to, as this house is going to fall over here. We see the Colossus coming in onto the fortified town center where this is as well. We'll see if the Wanderer is going to stay alive. It's not even fully walled here. Buildings just getting cleaned up everywhere. And Moore is just playing this game off the charts well here. He's using his brain. He's going, look, I've got 6 minutes. I don't have to kill this Wonder. I'm killing everything else that matters in this game first. Killing the town centers, killing the houses, killing the Migdols, killing everything here. And then I'll go after the Wonder. Because if I kill everything else off, there's nothing to defend the Wonder. And Moore walking in, he's got all of these Colossus coming into this position. Villagers can move forward and start grabbing this town center for himself here if he so chooses. 5 Colossus plus the Heliopoli. Doesn't take a long time to take this one down. The Wanderer's got 30% hack armor, 14% crush armor. Colossus does 20 hack, 50 crush. You do the math. It's going to go down incredibly quickly here. Kimo with nothing remaining here to hold on as the set Wanderer is just simply not going to stay alive any longer. And what can Kimo do in this position as the Wonder goes down and Kimo's hopes of winning this game are over, as there is literally no plans left here for Kimo. He does have some siege here. She could have been going for like siege attacks onto this location. I really would have liked to see like a transport ship or something to get some cheeky walls set up over here and go for like a something in this game to hold on, but just not able to do it here in the end, as the priest's going to clean up all these gold Colossus. You see the Heliopoli getting picked to shreds as well with those spearmen coming through, but Kimo 134 of 140 population. Moore on the other hand throwing military buildings up here, a fortress on this town center to secure this one. Kimo is still fighting. He's still trying in this one. He's still got villages remaining. He's still got an economy, but it's very, 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 very small here. As the Colossus is able to pick off everything here as well. I wonder if like the Wonder being put over here could have changed things a little bit, but now that Moore gets his fortress up, he's going to be grabbing this town center. He's still got plenty of resources in the bank. I just love looking at this in the late game. You just see what the perfect economy looks like. He's not losing units too quickly. He's got plenty of resources in the bank, and he's just continuously putting the pressure on here. As the siege works over here, goes down, the Colossus finishing everything else up. A little bit of micro here from Moore to pull his Colossus back and use the Bellerophon to pick off those priests over here as well. Nice play here as the town center comes up. Moore might need a little bit more villagers out at this point to make it work on 180 population, but it doesn't matter because Kimo taps out 38 minutes 50 seconds into the game. An incredibly well-played game from both sides here. Kimo getting caught into this little rut that is very, very hard to break out of when you're playing against the power of Zeus in the late game is set. But the rut is just defending. Now, the Wonder idea definitely was the only option he had here, but he did push out in these locations. He was trying to get some map control set up to push through, but it was just all dealt with too efficiently by more. I think if Kimo had had shifting sands or something in this game, it could have really changed this one. Things like shifting sands to take out the opponent's Titan Gate, or shifting sands to try and make a big attack onto a town center to get himself 4 to 2 town center advantage in this one could have been a really nice way to play, but instead Kimo uses that to get up a second town center, which he really didn't need to do in my opinion. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next game.